I grew up in upstate New York, outside of Binghamton, New York, in a place that is actually so small it doesn't even have a name, so rural. And I wasn't a good student. I guess we'll probably talk about that in a little bit, but I went to a community college after a bout with stage 3A Hodgkin's disease, and was pretty aimless in high school. I started school when I was 4, and I went through some rounds of chemotherapy, couldn't go to college full-time, but it didn't really matter because I achieved so poorly academically that I didn't get accepted to any colleges. I thought it was good to write funny essays for my applications. That didn't help at all. The only thing good was my SAT score. So I had the ability, but just not the drive. But after my sickness, I attended Broome Community College in Binghamton, New York. And I think that's what brought me back to the community college, is the fact that the community college system sort of rescued me. I found the ability to go part-time during my chemotherapy, and then I majored in chemical engineering technology, transferred, got accepted to a bunch of different schools, transferred to University of Buffalo, went to graduate school, stayed on there, till I found out research wasn't my thing. Too much failure in research, basically, and I just decided I'm going to write up with my master's and try to put out some applications to teach at a community college, and I taught right at the community college where I went. And I was an adjunct there for almost a year, and I was lucky enough to be hired at the ripe age of 25 at Sinclair, and I've been there for going on 23 years now. Yeah, you know, while I was watching my instructors do their job, not only did I like them and have immense respect for them, but I thought, like, you know, they got a pretty good gig. Like, this is like the perfect teaching environment. You don't have to, it's not publish or perish like the university. You don't have to deal with discipline as often as you do in the, you know, K through 12. And I just thought, this is a pretty sweet spot right here, and just kind of lucky to be here. Yeah, you know, I think my sickness, I was too young and kind of naive to really think I could die, you know, which was a legitimate chance. But I always thought that if I made it, I felt like I was almost watching a movie of myself or something. It wasn't really, I didn't really feel mature enough, which is pretty much how I still don't feel. But I didn't feel mature enough to know that, like, this was the reality of it. And I thought, like, if I, you know, get out of this with a clean bill of health, I'm gonna try to apply myself a little bit more. But and strangely, it wasn't as scary as it would seem. Maybe because I was so young. I was only 16. So I started acting due to the fact that I had done stand-up for a few years, and I met a guy named Henrik Kuto who just asked me if I'd done acting, and the only acting I had done was in front of a beta movie camera where we made movies as kids. And I've been in several films for a couple, 3 different local kind of independent filmmakers, but they've all been like budgets that are like less than $10,000, you know. But it's been a great experience for me. And I don't know what it is. Some people just say some things like, Mike, you just look funny. You know, they do. And I think I got that kind of like, these guys are being mean to us. What's going on now? What are they doing to us? That kind of reactive looking face. And so I also, you know, there's a lot of young people into that scene. And so I think I fit a little bit of an age demographic for them. If you want the, like, dad who sounds like he's from Minnesota or something. You know, that's kind of what I fit into. So it's been an awesome kind of thing to do in my other life. You know, so I have my life here at school where I'm a little, you know, students wouldn't tell me I'm that serious, but, you know, where I can kind of let my guard down a little bit, and doing comedy and film acting has been a wonderful outlet for that. I started doing comedy. I am comedy 8. That's what we always say. Comedy, how old are you in comedy years? I am comedy 7 or 8. And I don't know how old because I took my first set ever and pretty much all the stuff for my first 2 years, and I deleted it all because I hated it so much. And so I think I'm comedy 7 or 8. It was December that I first did a set at Wiley's Comedy Club, and I kind of hung around, and I ended up running their open mic for them on Sunday nights till it got to be a little too much. And so I'm still doing comedy, but people need to realize it's like being in a band. It's not like you're on Comedy Central and nothing. You have all layers of doing comedy in between that. And so last Saturday I was in a vintage furniture store on a stage that was really the window that faces the street. And my whole set was maybe in front of 18 people. Not that I didn't have a good time. There was like a little clothesline kind of thing that a dress was hanging on right during my set, and I had to kind of look around it. It's just, there's all layers of it, and I like to do all layers. Sure, I've done, shows in front of hundreds of people, but, and I've gotten a royalty check for $9 in the mail, but, it's like the furniture, the vintage clothing store, that's a launching pad right there, if you're ever wondering if my career's on fire, right there. Last Saturday, you watch. I don't know if any scouts were there. Yeah, Science with Mike, first of all, I was lucky to be approached about it, and I think I knew, it was because I knew Denny Wilson. I did the open mic one time where we had like a bunch of entertainment, but Science with Mike, what I kind of think is that the internet, YouTube-ish kind of videos have two extremes. There's the kind of highfalutin, we're going to snow everybody with all this stuff that's for very high level and is probably not helping us get people into STEM careers, frankly. Because you look at it and like, look how, I don't understand anything that guy says. I'm scared of that person. But then there's also like the other end where like, let's go jab a lithium battery with a knife and watch it catch on fire and maybe hurt ourselves. It's just, there's that. So I thought Science with Mike would be something in between where I try not to use too high a level of terminology, but it's like you're sneakily teaching people stuff and you're giving them something of value. And then you realize really science is kind of just a bunch of patterns. It's really not anything that's got this curtain behind it. You just try to explain a few simple things, show them something that they'd never seen before, and that's what I hope is the benefit of Science with Mike. So tune in on Fridays. I'm getting stopped in the hall a lot, like, you're that guy. And I'm like, yeah, it's our video, and I'm in the hall here, But yeah, I've been getting a lot of positive feedback about it, and I think it's great. When I kind of find myself in a quiet spot, like, I ride my bike to work as often as I can. It's like almost an hour each way. Try to think of different angles that we can, exploit this and whatever, what we can do to try to punch it up, make it a little funny. And I'm lucky that the people I'm working with are wonderful on that, and then I can, because they're right there, actually, it's right there with the camera. But kind of let me roll with a lot of stuff, and it's been working out pretty well. I chose teaching after working some summers in industry in the field, doing some engineering type work, and after my graduate school experience. I just decided that I was probably not a gifted researcher. That takes a lot. You have to be sort of on the front edge of imagining things. And I think my sort of knack was always with people. And I just thought that led to teaching. I was a TA in graduate school, as most of us are when we get in our graduate degrees. And I just found I got a good response from the students. and we had a good rapport, and I thought that would carry on to a career. And I think it has. I mean, I think I have a good rapport with my students. I hope I'm not that unapproachable. And there's times when people have talked to me about very intimate things that I think would require some trust. And I think that helps me sort of feel solidified that I'm trying to be welcoming as well as, but science is hard, like there's math in it, and you have to kind of have honest conversations with people sometimes, and you have to say, like, look, this is what you need to do, and you try to help themselves in a strange way. That's the cliche thing to say, I guess. Well, what happened with the scholarship, which is part of the Sinclair Foundation, is that my dad, I don't know if he's just getting to that spot in age where he wanted to try to help us out financially, and he had a bit of a health scare, and he gave me some money early, and he said that was my inheritance. And I thought to myself, well, I'm going to try to take that gift and make it give back to other people. So it was just turned out to be the exact amount I needed to make a permanently endowed foundation. And so there's the Mike Canestaro Senior. That's my dad's name is Mike Canestaro as well. Mike Canestaro Senior Scholarship for chemistry and biotech majors, and we've given out several awards, and going to try to look into some fundraising for it. Like I think the employment situation looks good enough to talk to employers and say, hey, will you help us out, and then we can crank out some people with skills for you, which I think is a demand now. So it's been a great thing. It's been a great experience. Because I helped start it, I have to keep some arm's reach from it. So I don't make any of the decisions that who gets the award, but it's been good to know we've helped give people a little nudge, that little tailwind they need. I have so many student stories, and I have funny student stories, but I have not funny student stories. I had a student who was a mom whose son was in a car wreck, and he was in a coma. And I went and visited down at Miami Valley, just visited her while she was visiting her child. He ended up pulling through and ended up coming here as a student. She's a physical therapist now. I have doctors out there. I'm getting people's siblings all the time. Now I'm starting to get people's children, which is making me feel really old. But I've had funny stories as well, and just unique personalities. One of my best students ever was 15 years old, and he just had such a positive attitude. He just really didn't fit in with everybody else who's kind of feel like you're suffering sometimes through college. And I'd be like, hey, how's it going? He'd be like, outstanding, sir. And it's like, this guy's different, but he was actually one of my best students ever. There's the weird things that happen. A lot of our students have life experiences, and so one time I talked about this in science with Mike, is I had a student whose cat jumped over a candle and caught on fire. I've actually had to administer an exam in a restaurant once because the student only had, until the next day, only had lunch hour free, and I said, I'll come there and give you your exam there. And then I just sat in a booth and watched her take her exam. I don't know if I have the energy for that nowadays, so if anybody's watching this, don't do that to me again. But she had a very busy life, and I think that helped her know I was there. But just numerous stories in 22 and a half years I can't even think about. They're buried in there in my brain. They'd have to hypnotize me for all of them to come out. Yeah, I have, I have a family life at home, and wife and 2 kids. They're just all wonderful. 2 daughters. I have one daughter is 16 and taking chemistry in high school, and I try to help her out. But then she's kind of like, well, you always click into teacher mode, Dad, And I'm like, well, what mode do you want right now? I'm trying to teach you stuff. So then she's kind of having a bit of difficulty with it, and then I'm trying to keep a little bit of distance so that she doesn't feel like I'm just hovering over her. I have a 14-year-old. She's in just going to be getting into the point where she's where her sister is, but enjoying a little more of her youth. So it's a real fun time, but super busy. And but I'm really lucky with the people I have at my household. In the future, I'm just trying to get to next week, man. I just sore and stuff now. But no, I just think I don't like to look to the future too much. I like to, when you try to take a big problem and you're intimidated by it, you just break it into smaller problems. So right now, I'm just trying to get through next week. And I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, enjoy my areas of sort of outreach where I'm trying to entertain people or try to volunteer some of my time with people, and just keep trying to be good in the classroom for the students while trying to maintain standards without being a jerk about it, which is sometimes hard. So that's all. I'm just trying to get to next week.